A couple weeks ago, I shared a ton of new beauty trends for 2022 that are becoming super popular, and one that I'm really grateful for is one shade eyeshadow looks. This is typically how I choose to do my makeup, like on a daily basis when I'm not filming or testing something or just trying to be extra. So today I want to share 5 of my favorite drugstore one and done eyeshadows. I reach for these all the time because they look amazing all by themselves. So we're gonna jump right into it, but first, if you're new here, hi, my name is Miranda. Welcome to my channel where we talk all things budget beauty. If that sounds interesting to you, then become the newest member of the Slashed Squad by hitting subscribe and the bell icon. The first drugstore one and done eyeshadow that I want to talk about is the one that I'm wearing today and in so many of my videos. This is the Maybelline Color Tattoo Cream eyeshadow, specifically in the shade High Roller. It's kind of funny because I never get as many questions about what I'm wearing on my eyes as when I'm wearing this alone in videos. So the Color Tattoo shadows, these were huge when I first started YouTube in 2012. They came out around that time, and then I sort of just forgot about them until I did a throwback makeup routine video where I tried a bunch of old favorites. I rediscovered these and I'm like, I don't know why these ever left my collection. They are just as good as I remember. They are a perfect one and done because you don't even need primer. The formula by itself is waterproof, crease proof, transfer resistant, fade resistant. It looks great all day and stays in place. I will either apply this and blend it all over my lid with my finger, but when I have long nails, I'll just do it with a blending brush and it looks just as great. Now this shade in particular, I really love because it is a sort of subtly shimmery metallic bronze, and it really has a lot of dimension when you blend it all over your eye. It creates shadows where shadows should be, so like in the crease, but then the metallic element does come out more on the lid. They also have neutral matte shades that work really well as eyeshadow bases or primers because they will lock whatever you put on top of it in place and keep it crease-free. Now, if you want to make an eye-catching statement but still have the convenience of using only one shade, I would highly recommend the L'Oreal Brilliant Eyes Liquid Eyeshadow. So all of these eyeshadows are incredibly metallic, reflective, shiny. This is another long wear formula that I am totally comfortable wearing without primer. I can just put it straight onto the eye. It actually does set fairly quickly though, so depending on what you're doing with it, you're gonna wanna work quickly. But I love this formula for creating stronger shapes because you can paint it on really easily if you wanna go in there with an eyeshadow brush. But it's also beautiful if you just want to use it as a sheer wash of color and blend it out with a blending brush all over the eye, especially in summer with this shade Precious Lava, which is just this amazing molten gold. This is a go-to of mine to blend softly all over the lid just for like a golden, shimmery, glowy eye look. But these shadows are also really nice if you want to use them as like a cut crease shade without having to use concealer first. You can just paint it over whatever you've got going on. This is another formula that is crease resistant, transfer resistant. It's also flake free and it does not create that crunchy looking texture that a lot of metallic eyeshadows can. Okay, this next eyeshadow may come as a surprise if you watch me regularly, but it's a genuine recommendation. The ColourPop Super Shock shadows are excellent as one and done shades. I think the formula just lends itself for blending all over the lid, especially in the shimmery or metallic or glitter shades. The reason I love this formula as a one shade eyeshadow is that the pigmentation is pretty customizable. If you go in with a big fluffy blending brush, you'll get a more sheer wash of color with the shimmer or glitter depending on the shade. But if you go in with your finger, which is sort of my preferred method, you could build this up to be completely opaque. And with the shimmery Super Shock shadows, just like the Maybelline Color Tattoo, I feel like these add the shadow and light that create a dimensional eye just using the one single shade. So this shade is the one that I use the most. It's called Set to Stun. It's not exactly a rose gold, but it's close. Maybe I would consider it like a dark rose gold or like a shimmery mauve maybe, but it does have like iridescent glitter to it, and it's just such a fun shade, more of like a party shade if I wanted to keep it simple but still have some fun with my eyes. Now I will say that with these, you are going to want to use primer, and it is not necessarily transfer proof, especially if you do have a shimmery shade. The shimmer or glitter, I've noticed in my experience, may fall out. So the pigment will be like where you want it, but the glitter tends to migrate. So you definitely want to use an eye primer or base with this one. Out of all the recommendations that I have in this video, the Super Shock shadows are going to be the biggest variety color-wise. If you want to go neutral, they have a bunch of those. If you want to go bright and bold, they have a bunch of those. And each one will look beautiful by itself. Now, if you're looking for something a lot more subtle, a lot more neutral, you just want something on your eyes, but not a bunch of shimmer or shine or bold colors, then the Ulta Beauty matte cream eyeshadows are a must. Honestly, I think everybody should own these. I really want to put pressure on Ulta to make more. So I have talked about these on my channel before, and they also do have a metallic version that I've shown. Specifically, when I was doing a testing waterproof makeup video, this like blew everything else out of the water. Pun intended, why not? These are primer infused and waterproof, so again, a true one and done. You don't need anything else to make them perform or look great. And with the matte ones, they go on super thin but creamy. You can blend them out, but then they set to a budge-free, smudge-proof, like powdery matte finish that's so beautiful. This shade, Flower Child, is one of my favorites. It is sort of like a dusty medium pink. I love using this when I want some other element of my makeup to really be the statement, but I don't want bare lids. So whether I'm going for dramatic eyeliner or a really dark lipstick, something like that, this is a good choice. And if you are someone who likes more light and scaled back makeup, then this is probably going to be your best option. Or if you're going swimming, because out of all of the waterproof options that I've spoken about today, this is the only one that I've actually put to the test, like submerged in pool water, and it did not move. I'll link that video in a card if you want to watch it. And finally, the last drugstore eyeshadow that I love using for one and done looks are the shadows from the Revlon So Fierce Prismatic palettes. I've mentioned these a couple times before, although I'm not sure if I said this outright, but these really had to grow on me. When I first tried these out, I was kind of confused because the shades within each palette, I think there are like 4 or 5 versions, they were a little hard to work together with, like blending several shades on the eye at once. But once I started using only 1 or 2 at a time, then I was like, oh, I actually really like these. So all of the palettes in this line have 4 shades inside that all work really well as one and dones. This is one of my favorites though. It's called Clap Back, and it has this blue shade that is just so mesmerizing. I absolutely love it, especially to make my brown eyes pop. This particular one also has this sort of dusty, sultry lavender that I also love on its own or paired with the blue. Another kind of taupey bronze that looks great all over, and a warm silver, I would call it. It's like a silvery beige. But about this blue, this looks amazing as like a 1 shade smoky eye, but I also love applying it as bold eyeshadow shapes. As you can see here, I'm applying it in sort of a winged shape, and I just love how fierce this looks. I guess that's where they get the name of the palette from. Now these I also prefer to wear over a primer just for the best possible performance throughout the day, but I also like to apply them with a wet brush for the most intense color payoff. When you wet your brush first and dip into these, they almost become more of a cream eyeshadow formula. So again, it makes it easier to paint on, especially if you're doing defined shapes, but then you're also gonna bring out a little bit more of the metallic finish. Using these with a dry brush, would not recommend. It just doesn't do the colors justice. I am dying to know if you have any other drugstore eyeshadow recommendations to use as one and done shades, because I'm always looking to add more to my collection. Let me know in the comments below. Today's shout out goes to Miss All Night Chemist. Thanks for being a member of the Slashed Squad. And join me over in this video next where I share my thoughts on some upcoming and new drugstore makeup releases. I'll see you over there. Bye!